Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another live sketch claim show on Tuesday nights. I am joined always by my partner in crime, the Batman to my Robin, or maybe I'm Alfred, I don't know, Mr. Ken Carson. We're on different sides this time, Ken. It's really weird being on the opposite side.
Yeah, it kind of is, right?
Yeah. I'm used to being on the other side of you. It's kind of, yeah. That's all right, though. We can work with it. I hope everybody's doing good tonight. Yeah, we're in for a really great evening. Once again, we're doing a great charity auction, and we can bring in our guest, who is the president of the actual Cartoonist Society. This is
before
Jason
you bring him in. Jason was very excited about this sketch op tonight.
Oh yeah,
I have a video of how excited he was.
Oh, that's right. This is a great video.
Hold on one second.
Yeah. This is how excited he was to join us. All the way.
Well, without further ado, the president of the National Cartoonists Society.
Yeah, that's right.
Jason Chatfield.
There he is.
Hello.
There
Wow.
he is.
Promise I'm not showering right now.
So that would take our show to a different level if that happened.
Yeah, that's not our kind of show. That's a different channel, I think. But yeah, everybody, go ahead. Sorry, we're gonna step on each other's toes a lot. I know this. It's like the lag.
That's okay. You can hear me okay though, right?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Sounds great. Yeah, everybody. Yep. So Jason is, and you're like the youngest president in the history of the Cartoonist Society, right?
Yeah, you get less for murder. Sure. Yes.
Yeah, and then for those of you who don't know, Jason worked for Mad Magazine. He's had stuff in the New Yorker before, but he's actually had part of the longest running cartoon in Australia.
It's one of the longest running in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, Ginger Meggs.
Been around since 1921. Just turned 100.
Yeah, just turned 100 last year. That's right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I took it over after the fourth cartoonist back in 2007. So I've been doing it for about 14 years.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I figured you weren't drawing it for the last 100 years. Otherwise, I was going to have to ask some other questions.
Lots of moisturizer. Very good skin treatment.
I need to know what you were using in the shower. That's what I needed to see. Maybe it's that Selsun Blue. That's probably what I
was. Deep cut. Yeah. Are we going to explain that later, or just leave that one?
We'll just leave it there and let them figure it out. Maybe no.
Check out Jason's YouTube channel, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, let's break down the rules real quick for anybody who's new. Now, just to let everybody know, anything that's drawn tonight is 100% going to charity for National Cartoonists Society Foundation. So all the money that we raise goes to charity. We're going to be doing this once a month. We were talking about people we're going to be bringing on. We're going to try to fit Jim Davis between Stan Sakai and Sergio Aragonés, and we'll figure it all out at some point.
Right.
Yeah, it's all just scheduling at this point.
It's
right, exactly. Yeah, it's just semantics of getting it in there. It's all done. It's all defined. And, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Jason, so these are the rules for our show. You can go through the rules up. These are the rules for the show. For anybody who's new and doesn't know, this is a live claim show. We throw up the banner. It's going to say claim now for Jason, and he's doing everything tonight on 11 by 14 paper. They're going to be basically like headshots, busts. And basically, yeah, he'll draw whatever you want. I mean, within reason. Try to keep it nice and family friendly a little bit. What we do is we do a live wheel spin. If we have more than 3 claims for a sketch, we want to keep it as fair as possible so that the person with the fastest internet doesn't always win. We know sometimes it's a little bit laggy. And if you've never bought from us before, please send us a private message or an email if you win the sketch, so we can send you an invoice for that. And yeah, and if the other great stuff is, if you owe us for any stuff in the past that you haven't paid for yet, please pay for that before you claim new stuff. We kind of don't want it all piling up. But and everybody just be fun and be polite and be nice. And this is going to be a great show. And Jason is a stand-up comedian, so I'm just going to let him talk and just sit here and watch him be funny.
Don't put it all on me. That's a lot.
Well, you got to do it all. You got to draw. You got to talk. We're just here for window.
It's just background noise at this point.
There you
go. Peter, if we already have your email, we already know that you want a Lady Daredevil. So, that's how that works. Nice. That's who he likes. All right. So we already have our first claim. Jason Victrola is up there. Yeah. Steve is up there. Let's see. We let it roll for a few seconds to make sure everybody's internet gets a chance to catch up. And like I said, we've already got we've got our first 5 already. So we're definitely doing a wheel spin. So we'll have to throw those in. So let's see. So for anybody who doesn't make the cut, we're going to be here for a while. Go ahead, Jason.
So I'm just confirming it was Lady Daredevil was the first.
Well, no, he didn't win. That's just his character. That's the one he always gets. He made a comment. He did try, but I have to tell you, Peter, you were a little bit too slow. You didn't make the cut for the top 5. That's all right. It's going to be a good show. He is he does have caricature in his background, so I'm pretty sure Jason can draw fairly quickly. I mean, we're going to hold him up to Tom Richmond standards and see how he.
Oh boy, that might be a little tricky.
Jeff, you want to read me off the first 5 names?
Yep, and the first 5 names, guys, is going to be Jason Victrola. We've got Steve, we've got Clint, we've got Roger, and we've got Paul. Those are our first ones. Apologies to Jonathan and Peter. Came in just a little bit too late, but stay tuned because we're going to get as much of this stuff done as we can. And he's here to draw and have fun, and we're here to draw and have fun. And yeah, I can't wait to see what the person who wins gets the chance to pick. It's going to be interesting. But go ahead.
You've been doing these quite a lot.
Yes.
And what is there? Has there been a common thread? Have you noticed like a common thread in like popular things that are being requested?
Unlike a lot of places, we have the people who really are members of our group. They all have very unique characters that they like to get that you wouldn't normally get. Maybe at a convention or something. We've got people that ask for characters like Jack Kirby's OMAC or Jane Foster Thor, the main character from Something's Killing the Children, Erica Slaughter, like just all these ones that you probably wouldn't get because, these are the characters that these people collect and they try to get some people's version of all different kinds. And it's very unique and it's fun. You can go ahead and spin. I'm just talking here, Ken. All right. And the winner, without further ado, looks like Steve.
Very nice. Good job, Steve.
All right, Steve. So let us know if what you want, and we'll get him started on working on it. This is awesome. Yeah. And once again, guys, 100% of your money goes to charity. It's all going to the Cartoonist Society Foundation, which helps out artists and all different ways. Like they donate to the Heroes Initiative, just all different stuff. And it's just such a great thing. And we're so happy that you guys allowed us to team up with you to do this. So it's fun times. All right, Steve, let's see. Since you're a comic who draws comics, any chance for something like a George Carlin, or is that too specific?
No,
now he already told us he's going to have to look up stuff for references, but I think that's something he could do. Jason,
here's my question. Which era George Carlin? 1970s, 80s, 90s? He looks different. When he started out, he was kind of a straight-laced guy. He kind of wore a
Right.
suit. He was on the Merv Griffin show. He did totally different kind of material. And then
I'm
he
gonna
just had this
bet
moment.
90s. I'm gonna bet like 90s. Let's see what they
So
what they
post-revolutionary
right.
Carlin. When he was doing one special every year. Okay.
Oh, and Steve said your choice, so he put the ball in your court, sir.
That's okay. The
Jason
reason I asked,
was like, "Damn it, that's what I wanted."
just George Carlin, just as a figure, like as a popular culture figure, let alone anything else.
Oh yeah,
he really influenced a lot of comedians, and a lot of people didn't realize that until after he died. So he's got I think, is it Kelly Carlin, his daughter, I want to say, put together a whole bunch of stuff that he never actually released. Who knows if he wanted it to be released?
right.
But the kind of comedians bidding on it are like the giants of the industry. He really influenced a lot of really big comics. He's certainly influenced me a lot. I I'm a bottom feeder compared to these guys.
Well,
Jason,
Jason literally says he wanted to get the exact same thing, and that's pretty funny for an obscure kind of pull.
Who did?
One of the other people who was on the wheel spin said that's exactly what he was going to ask for.
Well,
So
he was going to ask for George Carlin?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's okay.
Yeah.
For him, just do Bill and Ted George Carlin if he wins one.
What a reference. In fact, that's the first time I ever saw George Carlin, was in Bill and Ted. And then years later, I saw his specials. He did, there was a special he did in the Round one year, which was really good.
Oh, I remember that.
That really stuck with me. There's so many that's, his volume was so high, which means they can't all be gold. But the ones that were good as a result were amazing. And he's the reason people like Louis C.K. started doing one special every year and turning over material so quickly.
Right.
As opposed to Seinfeld, who would do the same act for 20 years and then retire.
What are you talking about? What's the deal with that? I don't know what you're talking about.
What's the deal with George Carlin being so industrious? So
I like how Jason had a picture of George Carlin ready.
I think he just printed it.
Yeah, he's got this great expression. Like, he's always got a very expressive face. It's kind of like I don't know. He is like a cartoon character when he wants to be. When he really wants to sell an idea with his face, he just becomes this caricature of whomever he's parodying. He has a great bit about stuff that I only just looked up today. Because someone was moving house and they was talking about how much stuff they had accrued, and I was like, did you ever hear that Carlin bit about stuff? I gotta find a bigger place for all my stuff.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Well, what's funny is Ken drives around in a lovely vehicle, and he has sort of I would call it a George Carlin reference on his dashboard. He has a Buddy Christ from Dog.
I do have Buddy Christ on my dashboard.
That's great. Yeah, I always wondered if there was an animated version of George Carlin. Does anyone know if anyone ever did any animated versions of his?
I guarantee they did a Bill and Ted cartoon.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did a Bill and Ted, and they had his character probably animated in that. Yeah. Now you got Ken looking up on his iPad.
Well, it would be a really cool thing to see. I know that people are now animating famous speeches by the great orators of the world history and philosophers and people like Alan Watts.
Well, I saw one they did for Stan Lee when he was talking about the F word. That was pretty amusing.
That was great. I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Who animated that?
No idea, but it was wonderful.
It was wonderful. I was just so impressed. I was like, why aren't there more of these around?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into a YouTube wormhole, of course.
Oh, let's see. There he is. Ken's got it. There it is.
Wow, look at that. That's amazing. That would have been.
I love how in like the 80s and 90s, they thought that people were going to look like they looked in the 90s for all eternity.
That's great. So, so this is the Carlin I'm working from. I don't know if you can see it, but
70s Carlin, right?
Yeah. I mean, this was an interesting time for his career because you know, he could say things that he wouldn't otherwise have said in his previous incarnations. Let's keep it PG, but there's that famous bit about the 7 magic words.
Oh yeah.
Can't say on TV.
We have a mature audience. You can say 5 of the 7. You got to figure out which 5 though.
Yeah, boy, what a minefield that is.
If we go late, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, after 10, it's basically all the kiddies are in bed. You're good to go.
It's a free for all.
They call that the watershed hour in the UK. They have a time on TV after which all bets are off. You can show anything. You can show nudity. You can say whatever you want. There's an assumption that it's only adults watching.
Right. I think they started that in the US. It was like at 9 o'clock when networks started allowing you to use like the word ass and the word, you know, shit. And you could basically show butt. And it all started with like NYPD Blue. And it was like, you know, it was the one butt nobody wanted to see. But they were the first ones on network television to show a bare butt. And it had to be after 9 o'clock before they would allow that.
There were some shows on TV that would be airing during the watershed hour where the first half of the program would be pretty tame and PG. And as soon as it ticked over to like 9 p.m. or whatever it was, it would get super dirty. Cop procedurals and things.
No. And it's pretty true in the US to this day though. They still like you even the racier cartoons like your Family Guy and stuff, they usually don't come on until 9 o'clock. Like they don't show the, you know, it's mainly, you know, I mean obviously everything's gotten a little bit more than it used to be. But I mean, for God's sake, the sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was actually originally named Bill and Ted Go to Hell, but they wouldn't let them put hell in the title. So it became Bogus Journey. And how far have we come from that? And that was, you know, 20 years ago.
Wow. That was going to be called Go to Hell?
Bill and Ted Go to Hell was going to be the name of the movie, but they wouldn't let them title it that. So they had to change it to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Bogus Journey. I remember Bogus Journey.
Yeah. I am a fountain of useless knowledge. So.
The things we learn.
Mm-hmm. My college gone. All my college gone, but you know, song lyrics from the 70s and 80s, I got every word.
We retain the strangest things.
Song
lyrics from the 80s and 90s, I just refuse to rattle their way out of my brain.
And that little video I showed earlier, Jason, you were using the that tablet to sketch on. Do you draw on paper much?
I try to draw on paper as much as I can. So I use a Wacom tablet for a lot of stuff. And that's because I have a lot of sort of files that I need to supply in a digital format and retain as much control over the finished product as possible when it goes to print. So if I can maintain the sort of line weight and the actual CMYK mix of colors, the resolution, just regular sort of like things like sizing and scaling and stuff like that, I will use the Cintiq for work like that. So the comic strip that you mentioned earlier, some very strict specifications that the syndicate needs those files delivered in so that they can translate it into different languages. They can make edits if they need to. They need like the font that it's, I turn my handwriting into a font.
Wow.
So that they can translate it into Spanish and Portuguese and
yeah, it was in like over 100 different papers across the world, right?
34 countries. Yeah. It's a strange one because you wouldn't necessarily think the little boy from Australia, who's kind of like the Australian version of Dennis the Menace or Bart Simpson, but he predates Dennis the Menace by about 60 years. You wouldn't think he would be as popular as he is in, Bangkok or Venezuela, but he is. Something about it is just very, I don't know, universal.
Yeah, a mischievous young boy, I guess, is every culture's got him.
Yeah, I tuned into the Will Eisner Symposium that the Billy Island Cartoon Museum was hosting this year. Eisner Week used to be a thing I used to go to all the time, but COVID put the kibosh on that. So yeah, I was watching it and I noticed Percy Crosby featuring pretty heavily, and Percy Crosby had a strip called Skippy about this little, rapscallion, this little kid running around town in a boxcar and causing trouble playing sports. And that's exactly what Ginger Meggs is, except Skippy was slightly older, but Skippy had way more success in America than Ginger Meggs did. The creator of Ginger Meggs tried to come to America to get a big syndication deal back in the 30s, and not just the 30s. He was, he did pretty good for a minute, and he was on Johnny Carson and in the later years, and he kind of had a real minute there, and then he was offered, Eric Baum, who was an editor in Sydney, offered him an ungodly sum of money to come back to Australia. And so this is the creator of Ginger Meggs, back in, he created it back in 1921. He went back to Australia and became one of the highest paid artists in the world. So ended his American sort of adventure.
It sounds like it worked out a little bit.
I mean, Ginger Meggs is still going. So.
Oh, yeah.
And he's syndicated through Andrews McMeel, which is the same syndicate as Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes and, Pills Before Swine and one of my favorite strips of all time, Cul-de-sac. They turned 50 in 2020, I think, because their first big client in 1970 was Gary Trudeau. And he also celebrated 50 years as a syndicated cartoonist in 2020. We gave him the Gold T-Square, which a cartoonist is eligible to win if they've been working as a cartoonist for 50 years or more.
Wow.
Gary. It's amazing. He's still going. And he's still drawing and working. And, yeah. It's a compulsion after a certain point.
Yeah.
I was watching some of your stand-up today, Jason.
Uh-oh. Well, talk about PG.
Well, one line you had, which stuck with me, was he said he loves living in New York. He loves cooking his dinner in his bedroom.
That's more of a Manhattan-centric joke. If I tell that here in the city, they really get it. They're like, yeah, we get it. Living room / bedroom. But that bit, I did 2 shows in Jersey on Saturday night, and
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
I'm from Jersey, so I can say that.
Yeah, only Jersey people get to say that. Even I don't get to say that.
Where'd you go?
It was called Dorian's Red Hand in Jersey City.
Oh, okay.
And 2 shows, a 7 and a 9, and everyone had just been watching back-to-back Ukraine bombing coverage right before the show, so that always puts people in a good mood.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were all giggles at that point.
They were
ready
really
for the
in
fun.
the mood to laugh. But I said that line in Jersey. I said, I live in Manhattan now because I love cooking dinner in my effing bedroom, and it still works in Jersey because they like to laugh at New Yorkers for how silly
That's for sure.
we are. It is a crazy thing to live in the city. The stuff we put up with. So we've got Carlin sort of coming into shape here.
Coming into view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
First
you could have
one-
just looked at Jeff and you didn't need your reference.
Yeah, I apparently I look like George Carlin, but I think maybe if I dropped about 20 pounds, I think I could pull it off.
Carlin's, I don't know how old he was.
Let's see. Pull the hair out. Pull the hair out here. No, it's still not long enough. It's almost.
Still not enough.
The irony is I was going to cut all my hair off yesterday, and I just ran out of time.
Hey, Riley. What's up, buddy?
That's always one. So how many people do we have in the room at the moment?
Let's see.
19.
Yeah. About evenly split between YouTube and Facebook, so that's good.
It's been going up. It's been going up to about 20, 25. It's going up and down.
Nice.
People come in, they're like, "Oh, he's already drawn." Maybe
21. Yeah.
Nice. I'll be done with the.
But this one's looking almost. That one's looking great.
Nearly done. It's also, I've been drawing nonstop all day, but I've been drawing on the screen. So a long answer to your very simple question of do I draw by hand much? It really is that. It's one of those things that I keep insisting that I spend at least the first hour or two of my day at the drawing board, drawing by hand, so that at the very least I can keep the skill of, not having an undo button.
Well, Ken very slyly put up the claim on the screen for anybody who's listening and not watching. You're missing it. We already have 3 people in the claim, so we're definitely doing a wheel spin. We'll see if it gets rounded out in the next 20 seconds or so. And once again, everybody, 100% of your money that you spend on these awesome sketches goes to charity. So it's a great deal. You get great art and you give to a good cause.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the foundation shortly as well, so you can
Yeah, absolutely.
a bit more information about what we do and who we are.
Ready for the names whenever you got them, Jeff.
Yeah, well, the last one says clean, so I'm thinking that he's wanted to write claim, but I'm not really sure. So, Paul, let me know if you're. I'm pretty sure you want to type claim, but you typed clean, so that could be same number of letters, same 2 and to start off with. But you know what? I'm just going to assume he wanted to claim. So we're going to say it's going to be Lucas, Jason Vignola. We are going to say Roger, Jonathan, and yes, Paul. Yes, Paul did claim. Yes, he says, damn autocorrect. So now I feel like if Paul wins, he has to pick Mr. Clean or something as his. But that's your 5.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign this one.
Look at that. George Carlin would be proud. Ken, we can't see it, buddy.
Should have been up there.
It ain't up there.
It's on my screen.
What letter? Jason again?
There's the lag.
Well, Jason, you get to tell us who your backup is now, I guess. Oh wait, no, this is Jason, definitely this was Vignola who won it, so he can tell us who he wants. He was the one who also wanted George Carlin, so now we'll have to see what his backup.
Oh, what was his backup?
Yeah, he said he had a backup, so we'll have to see what he's going to pick.
Did you hold that picture up?
I did. Did you guys see it?
Let's do it again so we can get a nice little screenshot on there. Look at that gorgeous beauty.
That's great.
The angle. It's funny. You can caricature him just by holding it at a different angle. I need a place to put all my stuff. If it's self-help, it doesn't work.
All right, Jason, we're just waiting on your character.
All right, what do we?
Let's
What's
see.
your backup,
I'm
Jason?
with comedians. He wants you to do Mr. Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, Dice!
Now that I
All
can
right.
do.
Now,
That's
are we
God.
talking Blue Jasmine dice? Are we talking back in the day Hickory Dickory Dock dice?
Exactly.
With the leather and the cigarette. Yeah.
Oh,
Yo.
this is my Dice Clay right
Hey,
here. You got to do this one. You got to go around the head, you know? That's how we did it. Oh,
We did used to have
the
that
Ford
thing.
Fairlane.
oh my God,
That's
dude,
right,
that
Ford
movie.
Fairlane,
Listen,
right.
Andrew Dice Clay may be, he may be a little racy and stuff, but Adventures of Ford Fairlane is an insanely great movie. If you've never seen that
I
movie,
agree.
you so should watch that movie. It is so great. Him,
Yeah, he said
Gilbert
OG
Gottfried.
dice.
God, the 90s were great for that movie.
Hickory Dock.
And that's
Yeah,
where it ends if we want to stay PG.
That's it, exactly. That's what he wants. He wants the OG Dice.
Now, OG Dice, okay, this is the thing about Andrew Dice. There's a great book, by the way, called I Wear the Black Hat, which is about America's obsession with anti-heroes. There's an entire chapter on Dice and the rise and fall of his appeal.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that rise, I mean, he was selling out like Madison Square Garden. This guy, it was a comic.
Yeah.
And comics didn't sell out music venues, but he was selling out arenas. And get up there and he'd light a cigarette and, he'd do his act. And everyone loved it. People could recite his act back to him. It's crazy. So the reason I bring that up is that there was the one where he had a bunch of hair. When he first was around, Ford Fairlane days as well, he had a lot of hair. And then he started slicking it back. And that was, armless, sleeveless leather jacket days. And I'm thinking, that one kind of, and he had the fingerless gloves.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. I'm thinking it's that era Dice that really typifies him.
The arm around the head with the cigarette,
Yeah.
He definitely, the cigarette is ubiquitous. And I remember he did Jimmy Fallon about 4 years ago. I want to say 5 years ago. I don't know what he was promoting, but
Stars Born.
he got up there and he took out the cigarette from behind his ear. And I'm told it was a clove. He was asked to use a clove cigarette because Rockefeller Center was strictly a non-smoking venue. And so he said, okay, yeah, whatever, I'll do a clove cigarette, whatever you need. And then he just pulled out a real one. Once they went to air and it was live and, while the cameras were rolling, it was pre-tape. But apparently it was a real one and he was setting off sprinklers and things. Which is very Dice Clay,
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a very dynamic kid. But whether you love him or hate him, he's a very interesting guy.
Huh? And Roger Ash says that Russ Braun drew the Ford Fairlane adaptation, and Russ is one of our guides. We represent Russ Braun, so that's a nice little coincidence. I like that.
That's very cool.
Are you like printing these out, or you just have these references on hand?
Well, I figure it's better than putting them on a flickering screen in front of the thing, so you can sort of see what I'm working from.
Yeah.
I also liked it. I often work from a tablet, like, reference images and stuff. But there's also something about having a physical, tangible, thing to work from that you want to see. Hey, yo! There he is. All right. Nice. That chin. Those ridiculous glasses. Oh my god. Yeah, hilarious. I mean, he is a caricature, which is why it's challenging to caricature him. He's one of the most manufactured sort of.
What's up, Becker? Becker, they're striking. We're gonna miss our game. Becker's supposed to be taking me to a Royals game when I'm out.
Royals game
in Kansas City for Planet Comic-Con.
Really?
And, now they're going to strike, so they've already canceled the first two series, I heard.
Oh, crap, really?
Yeah, I
So
think
the
as soon as it'll start is like
2022 National Cartoonists Society Reuben Awards, the 76th annual, are going to take place in the home of the Royals, Kansas City, Missouri.
nice.
I can exclusively tell you now, exclusively, this is
This is a 4C exclusive.
Awesome.
It is a 4C exclusive. It's going to take place on September 15th and 16th this year in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, very nice.
We were
We'll
going to
be
do that in
looking for
2020 and we
invites.
had to cancel.
So get your flights now, people.
Jeff, if we get invited, we're going to wear the tuxedos from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
But
But we're going to boycott unless we can get somebody to draw me and Ken as cartoons. We still are
We're
0
0
for
for 3.
3. 0 for 3 on getting one of these wonderful cartoonists to draw us.
I thought you asked.
I heard Jim Davis will do it.
He'll draw. Ken will be Garfield and I'll be Odie.
That's actually pretty fun.
Who's going to be normal?
Yeah, normal. Bacon will be normal.
So Jim Davis, we were talking before we went live. And, Jim Davis is one of the most generous and one of the nicest guys. He has an amazing, I want to call it a complex because it's a lot of land. He has a place in Muncie, Indiana. Muncie is a very small town. I guess it's kind of a college town. I've done comedy gigs there before, and it's just a couple of bars and a whole bunch of wheat fields. So
it almost sounded like you said weed deals, but I understand now with wheat fields. Got it.
Hey, listen, times are tough in Muncie. But yeah, it's a you know, he's a University of Indiana alum, I want to say, and he had a roommate, like a friend in college, who wanted to do stand-up, and so did Jim. Jim Davis wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Stand-up comedy was pretty new back then. Of course, when stand-up was first sort of becoming a thing, the only place you could get up was like opening for a music act or at a strip club, and you know, like a nightclub. And there were comedians who were really good at that. Jay Leno was one of them. If you didn't mind mob venues and things. Anyway, there was this other guy in Indiana at college, same year as Jim Davis.
David Letterman.
What's that?
David Letterman.
Well, okay. That's
way to spoil the ending, Ken.
I thought he was looking for a guess.
He was dragging it out.
So that's what happened. So basically, every time Jim tried to make this material work, it just didn't quite fly. It didn't quite sing. It was like it didn't kind of work. He couldn't quite get it to work. But then when this friend came in, you know, to his room, he would read it, and he, for whatever he did, it just worked. It just made him. It was funny. Everything he said was funny. So Jim Davis gave up being a stand-up comic because of this guy, because of David Letterman.
That's right.
Uncle Dave. And yeah, Dave went on to I don't know what Dave went on to do.
Yeah.
Comedy's a tough game.
Beard.
Yeah. I love that beard. It's awesome. He has such a great that show that he does. My next guest needs no introduction. A lot of fun to watch because he actually gets to pick his guests for once.
Yeah,
right.
So, if you want to tell us about the foundation, we'd love to hear.
Yeah. So the NCS Foundation is the charitable arm of the NCS. The foundation It's a 501c3. We do a lot of fundraising, and we donate to all kinds of organizations. We do stuff with I want to get it right because it's the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. I always get it wrong. I always say St. Jude's. It's St. Jude. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis. We do fundraisers for them. We did an in-person one in Memphis in 2016. That was fantastic. We raised a lot of money. And we just did another one recently, a big auction on Heritage Auctions with a lot of big name cartoonists. And we raised a heap of money for them. We do a lot of like fundraising for the foundation itself, but we also raise money for other organizations, which I think is really important. And all of our members always chip in and are always very generous with their time and their artwork. And including Jim Davis, by the way. Jim Davis contributed to the latest auction, Speak of the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we also help out artists who are in financial difficulty. The sort of genesis of the foundation was something called a Milk Gross Fund, which was designed specifically to help out artists in financial difficulty, cartoonists. Yeah, and so that we have the NCS itself, the National Cartoonists Society, and the NCS Foundation, and we sell things at Comic Con every year, New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con, a lot of other cons around the country to raise funds. And yeah, it's always a lot of fun. At the always, you know, things like drawing for the troops. That's always a fun one. Just trying to get this.
Are you going to Comic-Con this year?
Let's see. I mean, I'm scared to tell the universe yes, because every time I've said that in the past 2 years, I've had to cancel my ticket.
Yeah, though that
So, yes, but
those extenuating circumstances will not affect this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
let's hope. Let's hope. It's hard to plan anything these days, but I'm really looking forward to it because it's always my favorite time of year is getting together with everyone at Comic-Con. It's you know, hanging out and everyone desperately working their butts off all day, and then getting to hang out for 4 or 5 days.
Oh yeah, the Ken and I will be attending this year. Both of us. It'll be our first time at San Diego Comic-Con, so we're truly
Your
excited.
first time?
Yeah.
First time.
That's fantastic.
Thanks to Mr. Bill Morrison, we'll be going.
Brilliant. The wonderful Bill Morrison.
That's right.
The outgoing, my predecessor as president of the National Cartoonists Society. Brilliant guy. Oh, Bill, you can you divulge? You were with Bill this week, weren't you? Last week?
Yep, he was at his place up in Michigan.
In Michigan, right? Moved there from LA. How was that? Was it good fun?
Yeah. I've been helping Bill organize his art. He has a ton of it. He saved it all, but it's just not in any kind of order, really. Right. So I had to dig around. I was eventually able to put together Simpsons #1, the pencils for the entire book from cover to cover, and a few other comics. You know, I came home with stuff. There's actually a piece over my shoulder.
Other shoulder. There you go.
Right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
See?
Yeah.
I'll put myself on full screen so everyone can kind of see it.
Yeah, that is a beautiful painting of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Bill actually made it. It was supposed to be a limited edition print, but Marvel didn't like the idea of Gwen Stacy dying on it, so they said no.
Well, they had her dying on a lot of other stuff.
Well, they said if it was a cover for a comic, it'd be one thing, but for a print, they wanted to keep it more family friendly. So he did a lot of work for something I got turned down, but he told me to take it.
Always the case.
Yep. But Bill's a brilliant artist. I mean,
he is. I think he's very underrated. His skill is incredible. I've watched him I've just sat and watched him draw before and just been in awe of his accuracy. His line is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And just he can, when you draw on model, you try and draw on model, like especially for something like The Simpsons.
Right.
Very specific models, and sizing and sort of perspective. And I guess he's been doing it for a long time, but it's still so impressive to watch. He's just got all of the measurements in his head.
Yeah, he says he's a great mimic.
He's very modest. Very modest.
Yeah, so Ken brought quite a bit of art back with him too. So hopefully we'll be able to offer that up. We're gonna wait a little while since we just did an art drop for Bill a couple weeks ago. So probably won't be till April.
What did you drop a couple of weeks ago? Sorry, I missed it.
Oh yeah, no, we had a whole bunch of covers from some of his Bongo books, pretty much all published stuff, like all some Simpsons covers, published pieces, Treehouse of Horror things, a couple color guide things that he had done, just a whole, basically about 36 pieces of artwork. I think we sold 27 of them.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Great job.
So yeah, it was very, very great time. Everybody was, really and everybody who got pieces got a deal because they were just fantastic. And yeah, it was just a good time. Nice, wonderful art. Ken brought all this stuff back from Michigan. He already showed me it all. We already picked out stuff that's never going to see the light of day for ourselves.
That's so good. Bill's stuff. When he was working as a commercial artist in LA he was doing like posters. It's one of those agencies that sort of does movie posters and promotional posters and things like that. Some of the work and painting he was doing on some of the most famous films. I mean, he has some extremely recognizable work on movie posters. And if you saw it, you wouldn't realize it was him because you didn't get to sign it.
I have some Disney art that he did. It's just stunning.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. I mean, yeah. Again, he'll tell you once he does. He's just says he's a good mimic, but he's an extraordinary artist in his own right.
Oh yeah,
it's that famous Little Mermaid poster.
Exactly, the infamous Little Mermaid. I don't like the real story. I'm going to go with all the infamy. The real story isn't as fun.
Everyone? I guess everyone knows it.
Well, if they don't know it, if anybody doesn't know the story behind the Little Mermaid poster by Bill Morrison, let us know, and we'll update you on that, maybe. But I can't believe there isn't anybody who doesn't already know. And if anybody is missing it, we already got a claim up. Ken's sneaky. He threw it up there when no one was looking. So if you're just listening and you're not watching,
gotta pay attention, gang.
Exactly. I know you're all still out there.
There was a lot of black ink. The leather.
Yeah, we like to have it ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
How many have we got in there?
We're doing a wheel spin. We got 3. We'll give it another couple seconds, and then it might just be a 3-person wheel spin if nobody else is jumping on. Somebody else already named their character too if they win.
Ambitious. I know. I saw Roger.
All right, I think that's it. We're going to call it. We got 4 names. So if anybody else is typing in, sorry, you missed the boat. We left it open for as long as we could. 25% chance. 4 people in the running. Let's see. It's Roger, Jonathan, Steven, and Dustin. And just in case Jonathan wins, he wants a Billy Madison and Adam Sandler. So we'll see. We'll see if he wins it. All right, Ken. Give her a spin. Let's check it out. I don't think it's going to make it to Jonathan. And Roger looks like the winner. So, Roger, you won. Let us know what you'd like Jason to draw, and we'll get him started on it. And
yeah.
I can't wait. People have been picking some great choices. Maybe it'll be a non-comedian this time. You never know.
You never know.
Somebody will be like, I'd like Adolf Hitler. No.
Vladimir Putin, please.
Yeah. Oh, God. Don't give him ideas.
Oh, God. It's not as if I don't have enough photo reference from him this week.
Exactly.
Okay.
Be funny if somebody asked that and then Jason just drew a big pile of shit. Steve Martin.
Wow. Very cool.
Stand-up
crazy guy.
Wow.
I'm loving the theme, guys. You guys are killing this.
Yeah, this is nuts.
The wild and crazy guy. So, this isn't the first time I've drawn. This won't be the first time I've drawn Steve Martin.
Wow. Hey, you guys are killing it, man. I'm loving this.
Great. I like these suggestions. All right. There's nice. I'm just going to sign this one.
Another satisfied customer.
All right. Whoop. Uh-oh. Oh, is that Dice's agent? He wants a cut? Just going to quickly shade his.
That's awesome.
I love that, Steve Martin. That's great.
Is there a specific the person who requested? Who did you say requested Steve Martin?
Roger did, and he said stand-up era Steve Martin. So is that like pre-white hair Steve Martin? I'm not even sure.
Well, Steve's
I don't know.
Hair went white quite young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was always white, right? That's the banjo playing.
Not always, but
arrow through the head, Steve Martin.
Wow.
How about King Tut, Steve Martin?
Yeah, that's the same era. By the way, here's Dice.
That's Dice.
How you doing? Get out of here. Steve Martin has a comedy masterclass on masterclass.com. And it's not bad. It's not like it's hard to teach comedy already. Like it's already kind of a strange thing to teach. But he does a pretty decent job of covering the basics. But yeah, God, I wouldn't want to be the one trying to trying to write that syllabus. Good God.
Roger says, yep, arrows, bunny ears, banjo.
All right. Now there's a comedian who is filling up venues, very big venues.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, was that again, he was a one-of-a-kind comedian. All right, I've got a great photo of him that I always enjoy. And it's when he's in his banjo playing days. By the way, now that's what he does.
Oh, yeah.
He considers himself a banjo player who happens to dabble in comedy writing.
Exactly.
How he managed to do Only Murders in the Building, which was great. I thought it was really funny. Yeah, Steve Martin was one of the sort of early absurdist comedians who influenced so many other, like Carlin. He sort of gave people permission to be super weird because he started as a magician,
Right.
walking around and doing close-up magic. And, you know, his father wanted to be an actor, but unfortunately, he never really made it as an actor, and he had to get a real job to support the family. And so he always kind of resented Steve's success, and Steve never really got the recognition from his dad that he wanted. Classic, tragic, you know, sad clown story. But there's an amazing book called Born Standing Up. It's one of my favorite books of all time. This is the image I'm going to work from.
Oh yeah.
I love this image. And the book Born Standing Up is it's an autobiography by Steve. And honestly, like I think it's the best comedy book I've ever read.
Oh, it's high praise.
I've read a lot of comedy books. And the reason is that it's just like, it's comedy, and the kind of comedy at a time when people were still trying to figure out what the form even was. It was still kind of new as like a mainstream thing, and the comedians who were working were all just copying each other. You know, they were going, well, what's selling? I'll just do that. And then I'll get on Johnny Carson, and I'll get Johnny to do that, and then I'll have a career.
Right.
Get a sitcom deal, you know, and become a millionaire. But Steve was doing weird stuff. I mean, he was trying he was doing college gigs. And there's one story in the book that really stuck with me. It was one bar gig, like a pub gig that he did. And the booker was like, well, there's no one here yet, so get ready. Get ready to go on and do your act. Steve was like, well, yeah, but I'll wait until people get here, right? And he was like, no, get ready to go on. So Steve went on to an empty room and did his act because the booker thought, if people look in the window and see something happening, there's something in here, then they'll want to come in and sit down and see what's going on. You know, they wouldn't think, oh, there's someone crazy in there doing banjo songs and quintet. And so, yeah, Steve kind of would do these weird gigs that he was just desperate to break into the industry. And there was one college gig he did where it went really well. Couldn't have gone better. And at the end of the show, he's saying, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out. Great. And then they keep applauding. And he didn't know what to do. And all right, thank you very much. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Great. And then they keep applauding. And then he's like, I don't know what I do. What do I do? What am I meant to do? And so then he gets up and he keeps the show going. And he goes, follow me. And he makes it up. He completely makes it up as he goes. And everyone follows him out into this giant empty swimming pool outside. Everyone, the whole audience, they followed him there, and they're all sitting there in an empty swimming pool. And then he just does his act again. He's doing jokes, he's doing songs, because he just doesn't know how to get rid of him. It's one of the strangest comedy stories, but it's pretty awful. It's pretty awful. Like, I would say there are a lot of comedians who would have just gone, all right, thanks very much, and then disappeared backstage.
Right.
And just gone, all right, let's let people shuffle out. It's not Steve Martin. He was like, yeah, let's see if they'll follow me out to the swimming pool. And they did. Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, the writing in the book is fantastic. I really enjoyed it very much. I highly recommend it.
I'll always see him in my head as in the Three Amigos. I just can't get that out of my head. It's like I think I quote that at least once a week at work when he's trying to get the attention of Martin Short and Chevy Chase. And he's like, caw, caw, look up here, you too, and then finally and they're just sitting there picking their teeth and we can't hear him at all. And then he's finally like, guys, and they both just look up. It's just it's just Steve Martin. It's just so great. He's just up there throwing everything he can at him, and they just pretend like they can't hear him at all. They don't. I mean, obviously they're not pretending as characters, but I mean, it just is. Everything he does just works, and it's weird. Right? It's super weird. It's not like anybody else, and it still just works.
And there's a lot of like today, comedy is a massive industry. Everyone's doing comedy specials, and everyone's doing like sitcoms and shows and all kinds of stuff, which is great. It's a big industry. But back then, he was just making it all up as he went.
Mm-hmm.
There was no model. He was writing movies like The Jerk, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
He was sort of, as I mentioned earlier, he went white. His hair went white in his 30s, which was a little strange, but he used it to his advantage. And movies like Father of the Bride, which are like 30 years old now, still very funny, very distinctly Steve Martin. Other than like Nancy Meyer's films, but he's got.
What was the movie where he played like a Cyrano de Bergerac?
Roxanne. Yeah.
That was great with the big nose.
Yes. That was awesome. Yeah. Daryl Hannah. Yeah, man, that's a good one. He did, or the movie where he did like The Man with Two Brains, or
that was a great movie too.
And then another one he did with Lily Tomlin called All of Me, when they shared a body.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he had to play himself and Lily Tomlin because they each shared half of his body. It was pretty crazy.
I forget how much stuff he's done. What a career. Can you see the pencils? Can you see the...
oh, yeah.
Here we go.
That's so great.
This is Steve. Wild and crazy guy. I don't know if you saw him on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Jerry Seinfeld. And Jerry asked him, he said, if you tried to do today what you were doing back then, that kind of weird, kooky, self-referential parody, comedy, experimentation, do you think it would work? And he said, absolutely not. It worked because of when I was doing it. If you tried it today, it would fall flat. He just had a good idea at the right time, and it was executed in a very particular way. He just, he excelled at it. And then he just retired from comedy. He hung up his arrow, his fake arrow in the head, and went into acting, writing, and a lot of banjo playing. He really loved that banjo.
He's got that new show with Selena Gomez and
so that's Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah,
right.
That's on Hulu. That did very well. That was a weekly, and that kind of like appointment television where you can only watch one episode every Sunday or whatever it was. It was such a like, oh wait, we have to wait for the next one.
Right.
Look at how spoiled we are with streaming now.
I know. It's it definitely. Well, that's the whole problem. Is anytime somebody releases a whole show, all at once. You never stop. You just keep going because it just goes to show us our, as we can't. It's like we want more. They leave you wanting more, and rather than ending it, you keep going until you're up till 3-4 in the morning.
Yeah,
8 episodes in.
I think I remember seeing that the number one competitor for Netflix was sleep. It's the actual business report. That was the one biggest thing that they're fighting against is your sleep.
Yeah. I don't think I know any.
Are you still watching thing?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I don't think there's anybody I know who hasn't come into work the day after something is dropped and not, been exhausted, and I can know exactly why.
Can you see what I'm drawing here?
When you're drawing what?
Yeah. I just switched pens to something called, I want to say, it's a Tombow. I can't remember the specific name of it. It's technically a calligraphy pen, but it's an archival ink brush pen, and I'm in love with it. I reviewed it on my blog a few years ago, and a bunch of other cartoonists I've seen using it are also sort of swearing by it as a alternative to other brush pens and dip pens, and it's a really
I noticed when you were drawing, you kind of did blue lines with the Andrew Dice clay, and looked like you had like sort of more of a brush when you laid it down. So it's really cool how you're just using different styles and different equipment, so to speak, to
keep it different.
Yeah,
I like to mix it up. I like to always sort of try new tools and new techniques and stuff, because I find that if I just keep doing the same thing all the time, then I kind of stagnate, end up drawing the same kinds of things the same ways. And I like to kind of get out of my comfort zone with stuff and just really, I don't know, try a new nib, or try a new, like a dip pen, a different kind of ink. I'm always experimenting with new inks. And I think it's good. I think it's good to do that, because there's always new stuff coming out. Might as well try it.
Right.
Because it's very easy to fall into the trap of just using the same stuff all the time, because it works.
Right. Do you have a go-to though? That's like the one that if you could choose all of them, if you had to draw something you would pick?
Yeah, I mean, for live caricatures, since about 2002, I've been using something called a Tombow N15. N15 is the, if you think of it in like printing terms, it would be like 100 black, like a 100K. Because it's like a nice sort of clean contoured line, and you flip it over, and it's on one end it's a brush pen,
right?
Like a nice sable brush, and then on the other side it's a felt tip nib. You can do catching, you can do details, and that's like a flat line. So it's a really dynamic brush. It's water based, so it smudges a little bit sometimes, but it also you can do a lot with it if you know what you've sort of if you've experimented with it. And I've been sort of collecting those wherever I see them on sale. I just buy a whole bunch, because you never know when they're going to discontinue something, or there's going to be a supply chain issue. I ordered a new drawing board for my birthday last year, which was in September, and we're in March, and it's still trying to find its way out of Germany. So just supply chain issues.
We don't know anything about international shipping problems, do we, Ken? No, nothing at all. You're muted, Ken, but I know you're trying to say something.
I was cursing when you said that, so that's why I was muted.
All right, I'm nearly done with Steve here. I'm just drawing his banjo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Ken got back from his wonderful trip to Michigan to a
Mm-hmm.
pile of returned mail that was supposed to go
boy.
overseas. That
That
some of it
that
had been
some was
missing
from October.
Yeah, from October of last
Kidding
year.
me. Oh my God. For the Ginger Meggs 100th anniversary in November, we had a whole bunch of limited edition pins, like enamel pins. And just shipped them all to Australia, but it was at the same time as they had a huge COVID spike. And getting anything in or out of the country was becoming nearly impossible. So that was a really fun time to have a lot of orders all at once. My timing is fantastic.
Once again, for those of you not paying attention, Ken put up the claim sign. So we've already got
Gotta be
3
quick.
claims. So we're waiting for the next. Let's see. I'll give it another couple seconds, and then we already got 3 claims in. So we'll see if we round it out. Otherwise, the odds are getting good for you boys. Listen, we always tell people, stay. The later you stay on, the better chance you've got, and the more stuff we announce that everybody else is going to be late to the game on.
Why don't you give me the names, Jeff? We call it.
All right. Yeah. All we got is 3. So here it is. We're cutting it off. So Lucas, Dustin, and Steven. Oh, Jonathan. All right. Put Jonathan in there too.
Right at the last second.
Right at the last second. That's it, though. I'm cutting it off there. So that's it.
Yeah, Jonathan's been on all of the spins. So
There we go. Who's it going to be? Oh, Lucas pitched it out. Look at that.
Lucas!
All right. So, Lucas, you are the winner. Let us know what you'd like Jason to draw for you. And
All right.
we will
Here's
whip
our
him
Steve
and make him
Martin,
do
by
it.
the way. He's a finished
Look at that.
work for Steve Martin.
Well done, crazy guy. Yeah. That is great. Roger says, thank you. It's great. Awesome.
You're welcome, Roger. Cheers.
And Lucas says he wants, okay, we're no more comedy, guys. We got Vincent Price,
Oh, Vincent Price.
1950s era.
Ooh, nice. That's something I can sink my teeth in.
I tell you what, man, I told you, our 4C clientele, they like some unique stuff, man.
Yeah.
they'll play to the artist's strengths, what they want to see you draw. That's always a good thing about the crowd that we bring in.
Did Tom Richmond do a Vincent Price movie?
He did.
No,
not.
he did. Tom did the character that he did that was really kind of out there that we didn't think we would get something was he did Bruce Dern from The Burbs.
Wow.
That was a deep dive.
Specific reference.
Yeah, exactly.
Which reference
he
did
did a Groucho Marx.
He did do a Groucho.
He
Nice.
did.
Love Groucho.
Who else did he do? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I don't know where he got his references. He had his tablet with him or his computer or something or his phone that he was using, but we couldn't see it. So I don't know where he was getting his references.
Okay. So Vincent Price. Now, was it Vincent Price who was the voice at the end of the Thriller music video?
Yes.
Yes, he did the darkness falls across the land lines. Yeah.
That's right. And the big laugh at the end, that iconic.
Right.
Yeah, Tom did a Mother of Dragons.
Nice. I think I did see that one.
My favorite was the Galactus.
Oh, yeah.
Taking a bite out of the earth like an apple.
Like an apple.
Could you tell he'd had that request before at Comic-Con?
Did he?
He's good at going. Yeah. His sort of Alfred versions of famous things are the best that you're going to get. So good.
And yes, Jason, he did a George Perez for you. That's exactly right. Yeah.
All right. We're working from this. Look at that.
There's the George Perez. That was beautiful.
That's awesome. Wow. He's so quick. Tom has been my background is in live caricature as well. When I started out, I was doing event caricature and live caricature. But Tom literally teaches it. I mean, he's an expert, and his work is, best in the world kind of thing. So don't tell him I said that.
No, he was great to have on. Everybody really enjoyed. Yeah, it was he did some wonderful stuff. It was a lot of fun. So we were hoping he would have fun because we wanted to make sure that he'd tell all of you guys that he was having so much fun doing this.
He did tell us. This is why I'm here.
We're never getting Gary Larson unless we're having fun.
Yeah.
You just wait. One day you'll be surprised.
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
Hey, you guys got any room? God, what a face! Look at this face.
Our next guest for the National Cartoonists Society Foundation will be Bill Morrison. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have anyone lined up for the next one?
Say again.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Do you have anyone lined up already for the next one?
For the next one? No, not yet.
No.
Okay. All right. We'll get you something good.
We got to see who'll line up for us. I think we're gonna get somebody big. I'm hoping, maybe just a tiny bit bigger than you guys. I don't know if there is such a thing. If there is such a thing.
Yeah, no, we're as good as it gets. This is
yeah. Listen, if you're as good as it gets, then it's still pretty damn good.
I agree. It's a lot of fun to for 4C. For our customer base that's been watching the show for a year now, to see non-comic book guys do sketches and to see everybody get sketches, it's really a lot of fun. I think it's expanding people's collections and opening their eyes up to new things, and the hits on Ginger Meggs might increase by 3 or 4 by the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because in the 100th anniversary, the Royal Australian Mint put Ginger Meggs on the Australian dollar coin. It's on money now, and also Australia Post put him on the postage stamps, whole range of postage stamps. And so a lot of people who hadn't been introduced to him yet, there's 5 generations of readers, but newspaper comic strips aren't as popular as they used to be. A lot of people sort of looked him up and are just discovering him now. And because he's available to read on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and elsewhere as just online, people think he's a webcomic. They're like, oh, cool. This is where I read it, so I guess it's a webcomic. But he's been around since 1921 in print. Still in print. But a lot of new readers, young and old, which has been really great.
Yeah.
So is it a daily strip?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how many do you do a day, or tell me the process?
I mean, most comic strip cartoonists you would ask, they definitely, everyone has their own process, but everyone sort of does them in batches and works ahead. So I'll always work ahead, and my process is to kind of do between 6 and 12 at a time. I'll sit and write them all at once, edit them out, edit text, and then after that stage, it's kind of onto roughing out what the strips are going to look like, the daily strips and the Sunday strips. So because I do 6 dailies and a Sunday every week, and then it's sort of onto inking them on the Syndic, and sort of doing all the final tweaks and digital prep, file prep and stuff like that. And I'll do as I say, between 6 and 12 at a time, depending on the week. And I like to stay ahead of the deadline to keep my editor's blood pressure low. But there are some people who work very close to the deadline, and it is tough. deadlines, living under a deadline is difficult.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it. So I was 23. I won't tell you how old I am now, but it's been a while. You just learn to fold it into your, I don't know, it's your day to day. You're constantly thinking of ideas for strips. Some of them, I will self-edit and go, well, that's maybe more of a New Yorker cartoon and less of a Ginger Meggs comic strip. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes you can kind of repurpose an idea and go, that could be a Ginger Meggs strip, but I'll pitch it to the New Yorker and see if they want to buy it. I pitch about in 2018, I pitched 311 strip, gag cartoons, panel cartoons.
Wow.
For the New Yorker, and I sold 9, which is pretty good.
311, you sold 9?
Yeah, that's the odds for the New Yorker.
Wow.
That's working hard. That's pitching every single week. Every Tuesday, you go down to the World Trade Center in Manhattan, and you sit with the cartoon editor, and you go through your 10 cartoons, and it's mostly no. And then once in a blue moon, they'll keep one to take into the editor-in-chief. And if it gets past him, he's a tough cookie. If it gets past him, then on Friday at 5 p.m., you get an okay email, which is, send your finished version of this cartoon. And then you never get to discover when it's going to run. You find out when everyone else finds it. So there's cartoons that I've sold to the New Yorker that still haven't run. I've sold years and years ago. That may never see the light of day. Who knows? But either way, it's kind of you have to be something of a masochist to keep submitting.
Yeah.
But that's the job. It's 99.999% rejection, and then you get that one sale. And that makes all the difference. Certainly not a viable way to make a living as just a gag cartoonist anymore. Those days are kind of done.
Yeah, I can imagine it's difficult, trying to come up with a daily strip and.
Yeah, the strip itself is probably one of the more automated things in my brain these days, which is great. Used to just agonize every day over the strip as I was learning to do it. And because I took it over, the legacy strip, I took it over from a guy named James Kemsley. He died a few days after he asked me to take it over, so he never really got to teach me how to do it. I had to learn on the fly.
Was he ill, or did he?
Yeah, no, he had motor neuron disease. He had ALS.
Yeah.
So he had been trying stem cell treatments, but they just weren't taking. So unfortunately, he passed. And he was a great mentor of mine. And I took over the strip pretty much straight away. I had to sort of learn everything on the fly. Now, what was the name of the person who requested Vincent Price?
Lucas.
Lucas. Welcoming any feedback here.
He said Vincent Price is his all-time favorite actor. The first
all-time favorite.
He said he was the first actor he ever wrote to and he got sent back a signed photo.
Oh, that's cool. That'd be something worth keeping. It's such a thin top lip. Interesting mouth shape.
So what's the strangest thing you've ever had requested to draw?
anything I can say.
Well, that means it's interesting.
That means that's what we want to hear.
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to have been able to go to Comic-Con in San Diego and New York and a whole bunch of other cons. And, you know, as an artist at Comic-Con, you get requests all the time for things to draw. And I think it was my first year there. This guy wanted me to draw him. It was kind of weird. He was there with his girlfriend or his wife or something, and they were dressed in these like BDSM outfits. I don't know if it was characters from a series or if they were just that's just how they dressed. He wanted me to draw him as a woman with big old boobs, and then he gave me a picture of his best friend, who he wanted me to draw as Jabba the Hutt. And there was an element to it that was a little unsavory. Needless to say,
There was a little art direction.
Yeah, I took a little art direction. We all take a little art direction. But, boy, it was trying to, like, I remember drawing it and like covering it with my hand so no one would see it when they walk past, just in case they're like, "What are you doing? It's gonna get thrown out."
So you drew it too.
Of course I did.
That's funny.
I'm not going to shy away from an interesting commission like that. Some of the days get boring. Keep it interesting somehow. So the NCS has a booth at Comic-Con every year. You are going to be at Comic-Con this year. You're going to have a booth?
We're basically guests of Bill, so we're going to be with Bill. He's
Right,
a special guest this year, and he invited us to come with him. So we're just going to come with him, and
if he tables, we'll run his table.
Right.
But he doesn't know if he's going to table or not.
Okay. Yeah, he might be at the NCS table, but he also has his own things going, so he may be doing stuff for Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, he might be bouncing around.
If everyone hasn't seen that yet, my God, you gotta see it. Amazing. All right, I'm nearly done with Vinny here. Classic Vinny Price.
So good. And just like that, there's another claim up for Jason. See, and you were worried you weren't going to be fast. You're killing these.
There we go. Can we see? There he is.
Oh, yes.
I love the mustache.
Hello. Vincent Price.
Well, Jonathan, it's looking really good for you right now. Jonathan is already picked his character if he wins, and he wants Eminem.
Oh, really? Wow. Did he see the halftime show, Alan?
I'm going to give it 30 more seconds, but I mean, right now, he's the only one who's claiming, so
Great.
I almost want to just cut it off now.
Well,
you know what? I'm going to cut it off right now. It's done. Jonathan, you get it. Eminem, it is. Boom. No wheel spin necessary.
So cool.
You know what?
Right.
We're not going to mess around.
Okay, so I'm going to do 2001 era Eminem. Is that okay?
Slim Shady?
Yeah, Slim Shady. Unless he wants the bearded Eminem of today.
The real Slim Shady?
Everybody loves a little Marshall Mathers.
Damn. 8 Mile.
So, Jason, did you ever read comics as a kid? Did you ever get into the comic book stuff?
I was an enormous comic book fan. I used to spend all my pocket money on comics. I lived in a little city called Perth, Western Australia, a little suburb called Greenwood. And there wasn't a lot in Greenwood. There was a video store. Even Blockbuster wouldn't move there. It was just this little family video store. And it's actually kind of an interesting little, like we called it a deli. You would call it like a bodega or a corner store or something. And they always had like 4 months late every issue of everything, including Mad. So I would always get Mad if they had it, like Mad magazine. But then I started I think it was Todd McFarlane's version of Spider-Man that really got me into it, but I would collect Spider-Man comics. And I was hooked. I was obsessed. I think the first time I was like purposefully going around town to different, like comic stores to try and find specific issues, was the Clone Wars series. I think it was called Smoke and Mirrors. It was a 3-parter with Scarlet Spider, where they sort of cloned Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker. And it was like when Ben Reilly first sort of appeared.
Right.
And I was just like, I had this huge folio of comics, like just huge stack in protective sleeves. I'd like take him around to my friend's place and we'd just sit on the floor and read comics all night and all morning. And my friend Ben, his dad had an old stack of Mad magazines from the 70s and 80s. So that's when I went from collecting a lot of Spider-Man comics to collecting pretty much everything related to Mad that I could. So all the collections of Jaffe, Jack Davis and Mort Drucker and Sergio, my favorite. But it was always such a big part of my art sort of training because I would just sit and try and copy out of the comics. I'd try and draw like all the poses and try and perfect the shading and the it's almost caricature of the lens, with the way that the bodies were formed in comics. It was a very specific style of male and female anatomy that you just try and figure out how to make it look like it makes sense. I'd have Spider-Man in all these weird poses, like very elastic and acrobatic poses. And that's I made my own superhero called Manta Man, as in manta ray, like a manta ray. And he got stung by a manta ray, and he got the powers. It was like Aquaman, really. Let's be honest. But I just drew nonstop. I used to walk around. This is, obviously before iPhones or anything. I used to have a clipboard full of cartridge paper anywhere I went, and a big like biro, a pen, and I would just draw everything, like repeating, drawing my favorite comic characters, and just that's all I ever did. It's kind of that 10,000 hours thing, I guess. And I recently kind of like with Comic-Con, going to Comic-Con and like learning about new comic creators who I hadn't been exposed to before has been really cool. Like just seeing people who are working in indie comics and stuff that I never was exposed to in Perth because it just never made it that far.
You have a comic artist you admire?
Do I have a
comic artist that you admire?
My favorite comic artist is Sergio Aragonés. I'm on record as saying he is my favorite cartoonist, favorite comic artist of all time. I love Sergio as a person and as a cartoonist. I just think he's brilliant. He and Stan are great together. I mean, grew is hilarious and silly and taught me all about, I don't know, just like composing frames, telling stories, how to build stories. I'm still learning from them. And pantomime was a big thing for me, like learning how to get good at pantomime, so that your work can be enjoyed by a much larger audience. They don't need to speak English. Especially when you're putting your work on the internet when you're starting out, it kind of helps if your jokes kind of land without you having to know the nuances of the language. But yeah, I mean, McFarlane as well. Like I would mimic McFarlane stuff all the time and try and draw these, elaborate, illustrative, takes on Spidey,
Right.
Venom, and I loved Spawn. Spawn was amazing. But as a kid, you sort of get frustrated that you can't get it straight away, and then you try and figure out ways to draw something without you learn to put the hands behind the back because you can't draw hands and little.
I used to put them in the
That
pocket.
never helps in the long run, by the way. You always have to learn to draw hands as more graphic.
Hey, listen, some people still haven't learned how to draw feet, so
I'm one of them. One of the great things about the NCS is that it was the reason I got to meet one of my idols, Mort Drucker. And Mort's parodies in Mad were amazing. The movie parodies and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of drawing feet and hands, I mean, between him and Jack Davis, I mean, no one better. It's crazy just seeing how they would interpret a hand from any conceivable angle. Like, just doesn't matter what the angle was, they knew how to draw a hand or a foot or an ankle or just they were like magicians. Never quite knew how they were doing it from memory, but it just had so much practice and discipline.
Yeah.
I think the cartooning world is less of it. We lost both Jack and Mort. We lost Mort during the pandemic.
Right.
And I got to sit down with him at his studio in Long Island and just watch him draw. And then he taught me, like he was showing me how to draw hand. And he said the hands can be, in some cases, even more expressive than the face, their expression. And he was doing, years and years ago, he was doing stuff like Bob Hope comics. He was working, his early work was in comic books. And he and guys like Jaffe and Sergio, everyone was just taking whatever they could get at one point. It was, it was work for hire. It was just a hired gun, and you'd sell your copyright, or you'd leave the original with the people that bought it. Crazy.
How long have you been president of the National Cartoonists Society?
What was that, sir?
How long have you been president of the National Cartoonists Society?
I took over from Bill in 2019. So, yeah,
So you took over, and then the world just went to shit, huh? Is that pretty much?
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, there are very few. It's a voluntary organization, voluntary role, at least. But one of the few perks that you get is that you have to do a lot of work in organizing events for the NCS and things like that. and sometimes you have to scout for venues for the Rubens and things like that. You get a very small travel budget. that was the perk. And,
yeah, here's your perk. We need you to find a place to put on this great show, and we're not going to give you much money to do it, and it needs to be great. There you go. Thanks.
Yep, that's it. But,
Jason's asking if the president is appointed or is it by vote?
It is, yeah. It's by vote. I mean, it's an appointment, and the past presidents also throw in suggestions for who they think. But it's also people who are typically people who are already on the board and have demonstrated, that they've already volunteered for the organization and sort of proved that they have experience. I was the president of the Australian Cartoonists Association before I moved to America, and so I had experience running a very specific experience running a cartooning organization. Yeah, so it's been, I'm in my second term now, and fingers crossed we can actually hold an in-person event this year. And yes, you are both invited.
Oh wow! Well, thank you. It's going to be my first time in Kansas City. Is actually going to be next month for Planet Con. So
yeah,
I was there last year, and I mean I love barbecue, and they had barbecue in spades. They had barbecue at breakfast.
The barbecue in Kansas City is insane. I mean, it's just next level. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
In fact, I know there's a lot of competition between a lot of states about who has the best barbecue, but I have to say Kansas City, Missouri is pretty damn impressive.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. I think didn't Bill go last year?
Yeah, Bill went last year. That's who Ken was with. Bill last year there. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we were walking back to the hotel, and the conversation ended up, and I said to him, "Well, we're not in Kansas anymore." And he said, "Well, actually, we are." I said, "No, we're not. We're in Missouri." Bill didn't know what state he was in. He's such a rock star.
Yeah. Had to write it on the back of his art pad, Thank you, Missouri.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night, Missouri.
Yeah.
Jason wanted to know if you knew about how many members there are of the Cartoonist Society.
I would have to look up the numbers. We've got about 300, I think, active members. I think 300 and something at the moment. I have to look that up. Obviously changes. And we've had a whole bunch of new members join, which has been great. A lot of young members, and we're in the process of sort of changing some of our long-standing policies as it pertains to membership. So, yeah, we may well have even more.
There you
in the coming months.
No more hazing. No more.
Oh my God. Don't start that rumor. We don't need that. Do you guys know about the hazing?
Yeah.
Jason, I love all kinds of barbecue, buddy.
Oh well.
And I fancy myself a amateur pit master. So I make ribs, I make brisket, I do all that fun stuff. I cook it on a smoker.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you ever see that film Chef? John Favreau?
Yes. That was actually a really good movie.
It was a great film.
Mm-hmm.
That smoker that
John
they have
Favreau
in Texas.
You just anytime you watch that movie, you just want to make yourself the greatest grilled cheese that ever invented.
Totally, exactly right. Some of the best barbecue I ever had was in St. Louis, Bogart's place, and it is just like they have their own sauces that they make. I went there on tour in 2016, and I went back 2020, and it was just like I was just like glad it was open. Yeah, absolutely amazing. One of the best. Something you just, we don't really do a lot of barbecue in Australia, so I had to kind of calibrate my palate to what was good barbecue. Extremely good. All right, there's Marshall Mathers.
Awesome. How are you feeling, Jason? You feel like doing another one?
I can do another one for sure.
Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure we're getting close to that 2-hour mark. I want to make sure we're not pushing you too far. So, all right, there is a claim. And let me let you guys know that Ken wants to get in on this claim too. So he may put himself in the wheel spin if we don't have enough people. He may just steal it outright too. You never know.
I wouldn't do that. I'm no Annika. He's not on.
He doesn't know who Annika is. He hasn't met Annika yet. Yeah. Well, we got one. We'll give it a couple more seconds, and then Ken will create a wheel with his name 4 times and Chuck's name once.
It's only fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Jonathan says he loves it. Thank you so much. So good job on the Martian.
Very welcome, Jonathan. Excellent. Thank you.
I think we're calling it for Chuck.
Yeah.
All right.
Chuck White, you are the winner. Tell us who we're drawing. No, we're not. We're not doing the house advantage. No.
It's all you, buddy.
Who have we got?
I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but what's up?
Oh, here it is. Ginger Meggs or Alfred E. Newman with Trump hair.
Wait a second. Alfred E. Newman or Ginger Meggs with Trump hair?
With Trump hair, yes.
Good Lord. I mean, the imagination here. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So Mark Fredrickson did a fantastic cover of Mad Magazine. In fact, he did several, but one of the ones that he did was Alfred as Trump. Oh. And it was really something. He's probably one of the best airbrush artists in the world. And when I saw it, I was like, that shouldn't physically, that shouldn't work. That shouldn't make any sense.
But it
just did. It just somehow made sense. So I would be very happy to draw Ginger Meggs. Trump hair is funny on anyone, but on Ginger Meggs especially, I think. And it's something like, okay, so I'm just going to draw on a scrap of paper. I'll tell you a story as well. There's a story attached to this.
Oh, nice.
So when I started doing cartoons for the New Yorker, I started to get, some sales. They started doing this thing called the Daily Cartoon, which is sort of a political or current event cartoon of the day. And so you would get up early, you'd read the news, and then you would pitch roughs. And the deadline, I think, was back then it was 8:30, 9 a.m. And you had to draw, come up with the ideas, pitch them to the editor. And they were invitation only. They asked maybe, I don't know, half a dozen cartoonists at that point. Since then, it's, the pool is much bigger. And so I would be pitching these ideas based on the news. And of course, during the Trump era, there was a lot of news. And I guess the news cycle just kept turning over exponentially quicker. And it just became, pardon my French, but a complete shit show, where by the time your cartoon was chosen, there was already a news story that had, dominated the news. So I had to kind of learn how to draw Trump really quickly. And I got more than a few Trump cartoons published in the New Yorker. Now, the thing about the dailies is that they put them on their social media channels. So the New Yorker's Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And at this point, I had already been blocked by Trump. I got blocked by him in 2016. And I was coming home from a gig in New York one night, and I was cracking wires, making jokes on Twitter, and he does not take well to jokes. So he blocked me. And so the only, way I had to communicate with our dear leader was through cartoons. And so one day I got this is maybe like the third or fourth Trump cartoon that I had done that year. This is 2017, 18, something like that. And a guy I met through doing comedy who was a lobbyist in Washington at a meeting with Trump. And there's this packet of, I guess it's media clippings, and it's delivered to the Don twice a day. And the folder is just like favorable news coverage, anything with his face on it. Anyway, this lobbyist was having a meeting, and the folder was on the coffee table. And as they got up to shake hands and say goodbye, he spotted it and he went, "Oh, I know that guy. Yeah, that's Chatfield." And then he picked up cartoon, and Trump saw it. And this is the worst day of my life. This is the worst thing any politician could ever say to an editorial cartoonist. He said, "Oh, I love it." It's the worst. So he saw. Not only did he see it, but he loved it, which is, he probably just saw his face. And thought,
well, then you had to go back to the drawing board, and you had to make him uglier. That's how you do it. You got to crumble it up.
Yeah. So now, all right. So now I have to ugly up Ginger Meggs.
Somebody claimed that Trump.
Okay.
Seriously, Jason McMeel said he wants it.
It's not really something you'd want to put on the wall, friends.
Listen, something's got to go on the top of the toilet. You need something.
Yep.
When I was watching your stand up, your opening line about coming to America, and you used to say it. I won't step.
I said, well, that bit really worked well during the Trump years. I have him to thank for that. I say I've wanted to live in America my whole life. I feel like I caught you guys at a weird time. I got the brochure. It was Hope, Change, Yes We Can. I got here. It was Grab 'em by the pussy. I don't know what. The Trump hair. Wow. Yeah. Here's the other challenge with doing Trump hair on Ginger Meggs. Is Ginger Meggs, he's pretty much, I'm going to have to draw him on model otherwise. The Ginger Meggs character has been changed in the 100 years he's existed. I've certainly put my spin on him, which I had to do very, very gradually. It was not easy because he's a very beloved character. And to change anything, Bart Simpson or Dennis the Menace, you got to do it very gradually so no one notices. Until they, pull up a strip from 20 years ago and go, "Hey, changed his face." So now I have to draw Ginger with Trump hair and keep him on model, which is a huge challenge.
Wait, do we have this right? Somebody's saying it wasn't supposed to be Newman with Trump hair and Ginger Meggs. Chuck, what did you want, buddy? Did you want Ginger Meggs with Trump hair?
He wanted either. He said he said
either. Okay. I'm just making sure.
I thought it was either or.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Either one. Yeah, it said LOL, either one. He said, yeah. He said Ginger Meggs or Alfred E. Newman with Trump hair. Okay. Or did he just want regular Ginger Meggs or Alfred E. Newman with Trump hair? Maybe that's what it was supposed to be.
That's what I'm trying to decipher.
Well, either way, I still like that Jason made his own reference for Trump's hair before he drew.
He said he's okay with Ginger Meggs normal.
Normal. Oh, he's taking it all away from you. He's telling you to make Ginger Meggs normal.
Well, Ginger's not normal.
Well, now you're gonna have to see Ginger with Trump hair in the strip now. That's all.
Oh yeah, I'll just have to put that in the strip. Now,
Exactly.
I have drawn him with Trump hair here, so I'm gonna move this one over here. It's a nice Bristol board. Okay.
You could just flip it over.
I don't want to waste it. I'm kidding. I'll finish that one later. I do warm-up sketches every morning as well. So
right. That'll be the next strip that'll come out. You're gonna be sorry he didn't go with it.
Oh, by the way, I learned this little trick from Tom Richmond and Ed Steckley. When you spend all day long drawing, if you wrap this is a clutch pencil, you wrap it in sports tape, your wrist doesn't seize up as much, and you can sort of more healthily, hold the pen without straining your muscles, your hand muscles. Tom's full of good tips like that.
Wow. Yeah, it's the stuff that comes out of necessity, the mother of invention.
Yeah,
exactly.
Tom actually has a great book called The Art of Caricature. It's called The Mad Art of Caricature. And in that book, even if you're not a cartoonist or a caricaturist, it's a really fascinating look at like the theory behind how he sees people and then interprets them into shapes. How he sees parts of the human face and how to interpret them, how to draw certain styles of like lips and eyelids and chins and all this stuff that you sort of, I guess, over the years he drew so many people at theme parks that he just had his own way of interpreting all those different elements. So yeah, he's I think it's in its third printing, maybe more. Sorry, Tom. But it's a brilliant book, and it's definitely worth getting, even if you're just interested in cartooning and Mad Magazine. He did his movie parodies. It's a fascinating book.
So do you collect any sketches or art from other artists?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if you can see, but in my studio, I'm gonna move yeah. This is my gallery behind me. I don't know if you can see. I obsessively collect the work of other cartoonists. In fact, a lot of it's sort of signed and they're friends of mine, which is always a bit surreal. There's a signed Mort Drucker Mad Magazine cover.
Oh, wow.
And then the cast of The Simpsons. These are caricatures. Speaking of caricatures, this wall here is sort of a rogues gallery of caricatures of me by other cartoonists. The top one is by Anton Emden. That one's by Ed Steckley. You should definitely get Ed on here. He's fantastic. There's another. That one's by Tom Richmond. You can't really see. Tom drew that one of me. He's drawn me maybe 3 or 4 times now, and every time it's more and more offensive.
Somebody said, "What's the middle one?"
What was that?
Somebody's asking what the middle one was.
Middle one.
The middle with the
probably one above the.
To my this side.
Yeah.
There. That is the Reuben Awards poster for Portland, Oregon, 2017, and I'm in that one with Nick Galifianakis and Linda Barry and Matt Groening, David Silverman, Tom Gamble, Brian Walker. Oh, speaking of comics, Hellboy. Actually, Portland was full of really good comic artists who came to that one as well.
You said the one on the other wall, the one with the big black hair.
Big black hair.
The one above your head right now, or I guess over your right shoulder.
There.
Yeah, up a little. The dark
That's
one, right?
Cool. Yeah, that's Ed Steckley.
That's Ed Steckley.
Yeah, it's a watercolor.
There you go.
You gave that one to me in Memphis, I think.
nice.
Ed is a Mad Magazine cartoonist, and he's a brilliant caricaturist. He actually worked at a lot of the same theme parks under Tom Richmond, and he is a book illustrator. He does all the Rube Goldberg books, children's books.
Oh yeah.
He's a brilliant illustrator. He's one of the fastest caricaturists and most accurate caricaturists I've ever met. Again, don't tell him. He doesn't need to know this.
Faster than Richmond. Richmond would draw like 3 lines. You look like nothing.
Yeah.
He'd blink, and then the whole thing would be done.
That's him. That's Tom. He's such a, I wish I could see inside his head sometimes. He's such a mystery. He just knows how it's going to look. And it just comes out. I mean, I've sat and watched him at Comic-Con a million times with his, he has this thing where he has the clutch pencil and he's drawing, and he'll move his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do a line, and then he'll do this, and it kind of loosens him up a bit. It loosens up the line. So he does this. He's got a real technique. I wish I could sort of master how he's managed to just figure out how to get that style. Everyone who saw the drawings that he did are just extraordinary. I think I'm sort of every cartoonist kind of obsessed with how everyone works. Everyone has a different style, different method of working. They're using different apps on, they're using different Photoshop brushes, and some are using Procreate on an iPad Pro. Some are using, dip pens and nibs, and some people a hybrid of both. I did a gig out in Pennsylvania last weekend, or the weekend before, and it was for New Yorker cartoonists, and we all do stand-up. And we did like a hybrid live cartooning, live stand-up show. And it takes us 5 seconds of being together before we start asking each other, like geeking out about tools, talking about how we draw, what are the latest things that we're discovering. I think all the cartoonists are kind of, there's a shorthand between us. We all just kind of talk about the same stuff. Fast friends. My found family. NCS cartoonists.
That's how we feel about art collectors. We all like the same stuff.
Yeah. It's like any community of people who are passionate about a very specific thing. I think I mentioned earlier, I was watching the Billy Island Cartoon Museum and Library. It's a live stream of their Will Eisner week symposium. And there's nothing better than just geeking out with a bunch of comic obsessives about everything, every little thing to do with comics and cartooning. There's actually a really interesting one about the sort of corporate structure of, I know that doesn't sound particularly exciting, but corporate structure of DC and Marvel and some of these entertainment organizations, and why comic characters are uniquely really easier to trademark and copyright. So you can copyright the artwork itself, but you can trademark characters because they have masks and costumes and certain colors and specific names. And of course, I think it was Eisner was told to stop drawing his superhero because they accused him of copying Superman. Was it Wonder Man, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of interesting to see how effectively DC, well, Warner, it's a licensing company really. Marvel, there's a reason their movies are better.
Yeah, really.
Putting that on the record.
We'll find out with the Batman this weekend, right?
Yeah, with Robert Shovelface Pattinson. See if that's gonna be really good. The trailer looks actually pretty interesting. I'm gonna see it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They've got me. I'm gonna go see it.
For sure.
I don't know if it's gonna be any good. I hope so.
I can't see it Saturday night because I'm busy.
Yeah, we're both gonna be a little busy on Saturday night. We're doing a Saturday night show, which is very odd for us. We usually only do these Tuesday night shows. So, but we have a very special guest on a Saturday night coming to us live from Japan. Takashi
Miyazawa
is going to be our guest.
That's great.
So he's going to be on and doing some sketches, and we're going to be selling some of his original art. It's going to be a great time and a special time, 8 o'clock on Saturday night. So hopefully everybody can check that out.
And next Tuesday, we're having Tom Wynn from DC fame with inker for Doug Mankey. So he'll be on next Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So we got lots
a couple
of
other in the works, and then of course, we'll see what the National Cartoonists Society Foundation comes up with us for next month, and we'll be rocking and rolling.
Yeah, well, like I said, we had a lull there for a while where we weren't getting a lot of. It was getting harder to find people to come on and draw because the world's opened up a little bit, but we're trying to really focus on it to bring people back. So
that's really cool. Well, we're very grateful to you guys for helping us raise money for the NCS.
Yeah, we really wanted to do something charitable. And then when Bill mentioned it to me, I couldn't say yes fast enough.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to do it.
Oh, that's very generous of you. And there's Meggsy.
There's Meggs. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We've been on for a little over 2 hours. I think we can. We've taken up a lot of your time, and we appreciate it so much for you coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is fun. I mean, I'm usually doing this at the drawing board anyway, but if I can actually do something that makes a difference, I'm much rather do that.
I told Tom too. I said, anytime we do one of these sketch shows, it doesn't have to be one artist.
Oh yeah.
So you could have multiple guys on, so they can riff off each other and have some fun. And of course,
that's a really good idea.
The more artists that are on at one time, the more money you're going to raise, of course.
Right.
And, so anytime we can do that, we absolutely will.
Absolutely. Right. And then, it's always also an open invitation to you if you ever want to come on and do one that, not saying that, this is great, you're doing this for the charitable, but you got to make a living too. And if you wanted to do something maybe more elaborate or do something else and come on the show or do a commission list or something with us for, normal art and stuff, we'd love to have you do that too. Once again, I know you're a busy guy. So
no, that'd be great. Maybe Ginger's 101st birthday.
There you go.
There you go. That sounds awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, as always, to my partner, Ken. And thank you so much, Jason, for coming on. And
Jason,
as always, please go ahead. Yeah, Jason, don't go anywhere. Yeah. As I always say every week, please get vaccinated. Please get boosted. I want this thing over so I can see you all in person. And thank you guys again for joining us. And please remember, Saturday night this week, special show. Come see us Saturday, 8 p.m. and then again next Tuesday. And thank you so much and have a great night. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Awesome.